It begins like all the best horror stories do: a trail, a tent, a promise of solitude beneath the stars. But in the wild, when the wind dies and the forest forgets to breathe, something else wakes up. Something that doesn't blink. Something that doesn't belong. Welcome to Weird Encounters, a place where the ordinary fades into shadow and the unexplainable comes alive. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and become part of our ever-growing community of the curious. Now prepare yourself, because what you are about to hear is not for the faint of heart. They say nature is beautiful until it watches you back. But what happens when the ones sworn to protect the park are the ones being hunted? In the canyons of Zion, a ranger's tape was found. What it captured? Authorities won't say. I worked as a seasonal backcountry ranger in Zion National Park, Utah, for almost 6 years. Most of that time was uneventful, rescuing the occasional lost hiker, warning people about flash floods, keeping tabs on the wildlife, that sort of thing. But what happened to me in May of 2020, it was never reported, not officially. I don't even know who I can trust. That's why I'm writing to you. Someone needs to hear this. It started with a call over the radio from the South Campground station. A hiker had reported strange noises near the Hop Valley Trail, loud, metallic clanging, and some kind of humming or vibration. Not the usual mountain lion or wind in the rocks. Something off. I volunteered to check it out. I had done that stretch before, lots of times. It's remote, sure, but peaceful. And back then, I liked solo hikes. I even brought my GoPro with me because I'd been recording wildlife encounters for a little side project. That footage, what I caught on it, is the reason I'm writing this, and why I haven't gone back. That day was warm, clear, nothing unusual at first. I checked in at the Kolob Canyons Visitor Center and took the trail northwest toward Hop Valley. The red cliffs always looked surreal there, like blood streaks frozen in stone. I remember thinking it was too quiet, like no birds, no wind, just the sound of my boots. About 3 miles in, I found what looked like a deer carcass, except it was clean, too clean. No blood, just bones, scraped white, almost polished. The rib cage looked twisted, not broken, but melted. I know that sounds insane. But something about it gave me a sick feeling in my gut, and I backed away fast. That's when I heard it. A buzzing noise, low at first, like a cell phone on vibrate, then deeper, almost like a didgeridoo underwater. I couldn't tell where it was coming from. It felt like it was in my chest, not my ears. I checked my radio. It was completely dead. And that was the first time I noticed my shadow was gone. Not disappeared, exactly, but delayed. When I moved my arm, the shadow lagged behind, like an old video buffering. I know that sounds crazy. I even waved both arms just to make sure, and the shadows would stutter and then snap into place like they were catching up. I kept walking, faster now, thinking maybe I was dehydrated or having some kind of heat stroke. Then I came across a small campsite. It wasn't on any map or permit log. 2 tents, one collapsed, the other still standing. A cold fire pit. I called out, announced myself as NPS, but no response. I approached the tent and opened the flap. Inside were 2 sleeping bags, one unzipped and empty, the other with something inside. I reached out, my hand was shaking, and pulled it open. It wasn't a body, not exactly. It looked like skin, human maybe. Completely hollow, as if whatever was inside had just slipped out. No blood, no gore, just a loose, pale shell. The face was frozen in this expression, mouth wide open, eyes bulged. I stumbled back, nearly threw up. That buzzing sound came back, louder. I spun around, and that's when I saw it. About 30 feet away, crouched between two trees, was something I don't even know how to describe. It was tall, maybe 7 or 8 feet, but hunched. Its limbs were long, too long, like stretched taffy. The skin looked wet, gray with a shimmer like gasoline on water. Its face was wrong, just 2 slits where the eyes should be, and a lipless mouth that opened wider than should be possible. And it was watching me. I didn't move. I couldn't. It tilted its head, almost curious, like a dog sizing up prey. Then it blinked, not with eyelids, but with its skin sliding horizontally across those slits. The moment it twitched, I bolted. I don't remember the exact route I took back. I just ran. I tripped a few times, skinned my knee, probably lost my flashlight somewhere along the way. The worst part? At some point, I realized I wasn't alone. Every few minutes, I'd hear soft footsteps behind me, never close, but steady, like it wanted me to know it was there. Eventually, I made it back to the trailhead. My radio suddenly started working again. I called in and told them I'd investigated and found nothing unusual. I lied. I was terrified if I said what I saw, they'd send someone else. I left Zion early that season, didn't even collect my full paycheck. I moved back east and haven't worked in the Park Service since. The GoPro, I almost didn't look at it. I left the footage alone for months, but curiosity got the better of me. When I finally watched it, most of the hike looked normal. But once I got near that campsite, things went weird. The video started glitching, frames skipping, static crawling across the screen. Then there was one frame, just one, where that thing showed up, clear as day, standing behind a tree, watching me. No movement, just standing there. It wasn't visible in the next frame, just gone. I tried to show it to a friend of mine, someone who used to work for the Forest Service. They told me to delete it. Said there are places in this country where things aren't meant to be seen. That some of the missing 411 cases, not all of them are accidents. I didn't delete it. But I won't post it either. I've had strange emails since then, from what look like dummy accounts. People asking for the original media file. Some of them say they're researchers. Others don't say anything at all, just blank subject lines. I don't know what I saw. I don't know if it's something natural or something older than anything we understand. But I do know this. Something is out there in Zion, and it doesn't like being found. A hiker sets out to explore the crimson spires of Bryce Canyon, expecting beauty, not dread. But among the hoodoos, something waits, something that collects what it kills. What he found was gear, and something far worse. My name is Tyler G., and I live up in Salt Lake City. I'm a pretty average guy. I hike, I camp, I work construction. This happened to me last year, June 2024, in Bryce Canyon National Park. I've been down there plenty of times. I like the quieter parts, away from tourists. That's why I went out to the Under the Rim Trail. It's long, rough, and not a lot of people bother with it, which is exactly what I wanted. I planned to do a 3-day loop by myself, just me and my pack. I even brought my drone to get some footage from the cliffs above the canyon floor. First day was fine. Gorgeous, sunny, no wind. I made camp near Yellow Creek that night, slept like a rock. It was the second day when things went wrong. I was heading east, somewhere past Right Fork Swamp Canyon, when I noticed gear just lying out in the open. A pack, a torn jacket, a busted water filter, and a pair of boots placed neatly side by side, like someone took them off and just walked away barefoot. I found lost or dropped gear before, but this was weird. Everything looked deliberately placed, like the person laid them down one at a time. The boots were clean, no dirt on the soles. The pack had food still in it, nothing raided by animals. That should have been a red flag, but I didn't listen to myself. I looked around, Called out, thought maybe someone was injured nearby. No answer. About half an hour later, I saw the second set. This time it was a hat, gloves, another jacket, laid across a low branch, perfectly symmetrical, folded even. Like someone was playing dress-up in the woods and got bored halfway through. I started to feel watched then, the kind of feeling where the hair on your neck goes stiff and your gut starts talking to you in a language you don't want to understand. There was this smell, too, faint at first, like wet dog and mold. But under it, something metallic, like old coins or blood. I don't know. I picked up the pace, decided to cut the loop short and head northwest to rejoin the main trail. That's when I found the third site. There was no pack this time, just a camera, a Canon still blinking red like it had juice left. It was sitting on a stump, perfectly angled toward a gap between two hoodoos. I hit play. The last video was only 14 seconds long. It showed a guy walking, panting hard, whispering something under his breath like he was praying or losing it. Then the camera shook, and something stepped into the frame behind him. I swear I don't even know how to explain what I saw. It looked like a person, but not. Way too tall. Thin, like emaciated. The skin was the same red-gray as the stone around it, and it had no face, just a wide, vertical slit where the eyes and mouth should have been. It stood still while the man ran off. And then, this is what I still can't get out of my head, it turned and looked at the camera. It knew it was being filmed, and it leaned down, slow and stiff, until its whole face filled the frame. Then it blinked sideways, like a lizard. The screen went black. I turned to leave, screw the trail, the gear, everything. But I didn't know where I was. Somehow, in that short walk, I'd gotten totally turned around. GPS wouldn't load. Compass spun. I started running, no sense of direction, just moving. I kept hearing clicking sounds, like bones tapping wood, or something with too many joints crawling over dry bark. At one point, I swear I saw something standing between the trees, maybe 30 yards ahead. It blended in so well it almost looked like a statue, but it moved when I blinked. I didn't stop to confirm. I don't know how long I ran. Could have been an hour, could have been 5. But eventually, I stumbled onto a park ranger truck near the Swamp Canyon overlook. The guy driving said I looked like death dragged backward, and he didn't ask any questions, just gave me water and a granola bar and told me to sit tight. I didn't tell him what I saw. I didn't think he'd believe me. Back home, I did some digging. Turns out several people have gone missing in that exact stretch of the park, people who were never found. One was a woman whose camp was discovered with food untouched and boots lined up just like the ones I saw. Another guy vanished, leaving only his GoPro wedged in a crevice. The footage was never released. The thing I saw, I think it mimics people. I think it watches, waits for hikers to go off alone, then takes its time. The gear isn't lost. It's displayed, like trophies, like it wants you to know. I haven't hiked since. I haven't camped, and I haven't even been able to sleep through the night without looking out my windows first. High above Las Vegas, the cool pine forests of Mount Charleston offer escape from the desert heat. But some paths were never meant to be walked after dark, and what followed two hikers there may not have been human or alive. My name's Danny. I live in Pahrump, Nevada. Work as a mechanic. This happened to me and my cousin Leo in early October 2022 up on Mount Charleston. It was supposed to be a quick overnight hike, nothing serious, just a break from the noise. We'd both been dealing with some rough stuff. Family deaths, relationship crap. You know how it piles up. Anyway, we drove up early, parked near the Mary Jane Falls trailhead, and hiked up past the cave. Took one of the side trails that cuts deeper into the Spring Mountains. By afternoon, we were miles off the main trail, in one of those little valleys that barely show up on maps. We set up camp in this flat clearing beneath a rock wall. Real nice spot. Pines all around. Little creek nearby. Quiet. Too quiet. I remember saying that to Leo. How you couldn't hear birds. No wind, nothing. Just that hollow silence that feels wrong in your bones. He shrugged it off, joked that we were finally getting the peace we came for. That night changed everything. It started around 1 a.m. I woke up to this clicking sound, not twigs snapping, clicking, like someone knocking two stones together in a pattern. 4 quick clicks, then silence, then again. 4 clicks. I sat up, looked at Leo's tent. His headlamp was already on. He whispered, asking if I heard it too. We both unzipped our tents, stepped out. The night was pitch black, no moon. The trees looked like shadows stacked on shadows. We stood there listening. Nothing. Until we heard breathing. Slow, raspy. Like something with wet lungs. Coming from just beyond the tree line. Leo pointed his light, but it barely touched the edge of the woods. The beam just died after a few feet, like the darkness swallowed it. Then came the smell. Rot. Like something dead and wet had been baking in the sun, even though it was 40 degrees out. I almost threw up. That's when we saw the eyes. They blinked open 1 pair at a time. At least 6 sets, low to the ground, spread wide apart, all glowing dull orange. Too low to be deer, too far apart to be anything natural. They didn't move, just watched. Leo whispered we should go back into the tents and wait it out, but I said no way. I wanted to leave. Right then. We grabbed our packs and started walking. No camp breakdown, no gear packed, just stuffed the basics and went. But as soon as we started moving, the clicking followed. 4 clicks, silence. 4 clicks, closer. Then I heard something crawl. Not walk, crawl. Something big. Dry scraping sounds across the ground. And that breathing again, closer this time, like it was dragging something heavy with it. We broke into a jog. No trail, just moving by headlamp. And that's when I looked over and saw it. Really saw it. It was clinging to a pine tree, about 10 feet up. Pale skin like old wax, arms and legs too long, elbows bent backward like a praying mantis. Its face was wrong, like it had been flattened, with a slit across where the mouth should be and no nose at all. It watched us from the trunk of that tree, totally still except for its fingers, which twitched fast, too fast. I screamed and we started running. But every time we stopped, even for breath, the clicking would start again. Always the same rhythm. And then we'd hear it crawling somewhere just behind the tree line. At one point, we thought we'd lost it. We found this outcropping and decided to wait for daylight. We huddled there, backs to the rock, waiting, watching. And that's when we heard it above us. It had climbed the rock. I still don't know how something that size could move so fast. It didn't jump down. It slid like its joints weren't connected right, like it poured itself toward us. Leo fired his flare. He had this little gun with emergency flares for signal. He shot it right in the thing's direction. That red light lit it up, front and center. It screamed. High-pitched, like a child in pain, but way too loud, way too deep. It reared back and vanished into the woods. We didn't sleep. We walked until sunrise, bloody feet, no sense of direction. Made it to the highway by noon and flagged down a ranger vehicle. Didn't say a word about what happened, just said we got lost. The thing is, we thought that was it. Over. But about a week later, I found something on my doorstep. A stone, just one, smooth, round, gray. But it had a scratch on it. 4 lines. I've since moved. Leo too. We don't talk about it anymore. Not because we're scared of people laughing. We're scared it's still following. And so, another strange encounter fades away. A trick of the mind, or something far more unsettling. That's for you to decide. Thank you so much for watching my stories. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Your support is what keeps this channel going.